when I wasn't invited to my brother's big engagement party. I posted a ski selfie. Hours later, my whole family was blowing up my phone. I leaned closer to my drafting table, tweaking the letter spacing on Mason and Burke's engagement invitations for the third time. The afternoon light spills across my workspace, illuminating the metallic copper accents I've added to the design. Perfect. Almost perfect. My brother deserves nothing less. My phone buzzes against the oak surface, dancing dangerously close to my coffee mug. Mason's name lights up the screen, sending a reflexive smile to my lips. Parties this weekend. Guest list is super tight. Hope you understand. My hands freeze mid-adjustment. I read the message again, certain I've misunderstood. The delicate brush pen slips from my fingers, leaving an unwelcome streak across the sample invitation. What? I whisper to my empty apartment. My coffee mug tips as I reach for my phone, the dark liquid seeping into my sketches. I barely notice. Instead, my eyes fix on the framed photo beside my workspace. Mason grinning in his uniform, standing next to 3 large care packages I'd spent weeks assembling. The ones I'd stayed up all night packing so they'd make the military mail deadline. The ones I'd included his favorite homemade cookies in despite having to work a deadline the next morning. The care packages he'd called a lifesaver during his deployment. My hands tremble as I dial my father's number. Monroe? Dad's voice comes through after 4 rings, distracted and slightly annoyed. Everything okay? Dad, Mason just texted me about some party this weekend for his engagement. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. There must be some confusion. A beat of silence followed by a sigh. It's just a get-together, Monroe. Nothing formal. I press my fingers against the bridge of my nose, but I'm his sister. I've been working on their actual invitation designs all week. Look, honey. Dad's tone shifts to the dismissive one I know too well. It's a small thing at Brooke's parents' lake house. Don't make this a thing. Okay? You know how your brother gets when everyone starts making demands. When I make demands, the unspoken accusation hangs between us. Right. I manage, my throat tightening. Of course. I hang up before he can hear the crack in my voice. The afternoon light feels colder now as I stare at my design work hours of unpaid labor for a brother who couldn't even be bothered to invite me to his pre-wedding celebration. My mind flashes to 6 months ago. The 3 a.m. call from Mason in Germany, desperate because his bank card had been compromised. I remember transferring him $2,000 from my carefully managed savings without hesitation, emergency money he still hasn't repaid. I think about the 3 nights I spent designing their engagement announcement, when Brooke decided she just wasn't feeling the professional one they'd paid for. How I'd missed my friend Diane's birthday dinner to finish it by their deadline. The 18 months of his deployment when I sent a care package every single month. When I checked in on Mom and Dad twice a week. When I helped Brooke move into their apartment so it would be ready when he returned. My phone pings again. My cousin Tara. Just got the evite for MB's party. You coming up to the lake this weekend? My stomach twists. Evite. I whisper. What evite? I type back. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again, then, oh, awkward. Thought you'd be there. It's at the Henderson's lake house. Looks like the whole crew is going. I ask her to forward it to me. A request met with uncomfortable delay before it arrives in my inbox. The screen glows with a cheerful nautical design. Join us for a lakeside engagement celebration. The details swim before my eyes, but one thing becomes unmistakably clear. This is no intimate gathering. The guest count, 120 plus. I scroll through names, recognizing Mason's work colleagues, distant cousins, Brooks's high school friends, everyone it seems except me. My phone rings. Dad again. Your brother has his reasons, Monroe, he says before I can speak. Maybe he thought you'd be uncomfortable with so many people. You know how you get. How I get. My voice barely carries above a whisper. Just respect his decision. That's all I'm asking. After we hang up, I sit motionless, staring at my bank account on my laptop screen. Years of careful saving. Years of choosing family obligations over personal dreams. My cursor hovers over the Book Now button of the Aspen ski resort I've daydreamed about for years. The one I've put off visiting because someone more important ways needed me. Not anymore. I press Book Now. First class ticket. Mountain View Suite. 6-day stay. As the confirmation email arrives, I snap a photo of my passport beside my plane ticket confirmation. I upload it to Instagram with steady fingers. When you're not on the list, you make your own. The first-class cabin surrounds me with a quiet luxury I've never allowed myself to experience. Soft leather cradles my shoulders as I sip complimentary champagne, the bubbles dancing on my tongue. A strange cocktail of guilt and exhilaration floods my system stronger than the drink in my hand. Another? The flight attendant gestures to my nearly empty glass. Yes. The word emerges without hesitation, without the familiar mental calculation of whether I deserve the indulgence. Thank you. My apartment's rent for a month wouldn't cover this single flight. But 6 years of emergency funds sit untouched in my account. Emergency funds that were always available when Mason needed them. The seatbelt sign chimes off, and I breathe deeper than I have in years. The Mountain View Suite at the Aspen Lodge makes my apartment look like a storage closet. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame snow-capped peaks bathed in alpenglow that turns the white slopes to rose gold. The king bed could fit 4 of me. The bathroom gleams with marble I've only seen in design magazines. I stand before the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Her eyes hold a wildness I haven't seen before, part terror, part defiance. "Who are you?" I whisper to my reflection. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 12th time in an hour. Dad's name flashes on the screen, then disappears as I silence it. Mom's text already waits unread, along with 3 from Mason and 1 from Brooke. I place the phone face down without checking the messages. Whatever family fire needs extinguishing, they'll have to find another bucket. They said what? I clutch my coffee mug tighter as Tara's face fills my tablet screen the next morning. The lodge's breakfast nook offers privacy for video calls that would be impossible at the crowded communal tables. I wasn't supposed to hear it. Tara's voice drops. Brooke was talking to her sister in the bathroom. She said, and I quote, "We just thought Monroe would bring down the vibe. Then something about how you're always so serious and make everything into a big deal." The coffee turns bitter on my tongue. "Bring down the vibe. Mason didn't defend you," Tara continues, her eyes darting away from the camera. "He just nodded along." My phone pings with a text from Mom. "I'm sorry about all this, sweetheart. But you know how your father and brother get when they've made up their minds. I hope you understand." "This isn't the first time," Tara adds, hesitating. "Remember Thanksgiving at Uncle Pete's last year and Mason's homecoming celebration? What about them?" But even as I ask, puzzle pieces click into place. The last-minute location changes. The vague invitations. The surprised looks when I showed up. "They've been doing this for years, Monroe. I thought you knew." The realization settles like a stone in my stomach. I've been strategically uninvited from my own family for years. "You've changed, May. Standing up for yourself for once." May's raspy voice fills my voicemail speaker as I prepare for my first skill lesson. "I've lived too long to watch this nonsense. You call me when you're ready to talk. Until then, enjoy every minute of that mountain air." I slide the phone into my pocket with a smile I wasn't expecting to find today. "First time on the slopes?" My instructor, Kai, adjusts my boot bindings with practiced hands. His weathered face sports decades of laugh lines and a perpetual squint from years facing snow glare. "First time doing anything just for me, I admit." He nods, understanding far more than I've said. "Got yourself some good company then?" By afternoon, I've joined a group of solo travelers at the lodge of a retired teacher from Vermont, a widower celebrating his birthday, a young woman escaping a breakup. They welcome me without questions about family or obligations. We share stories over hot chocolate as easily as if we've known each other for years. My phone remains silent in my pocket. For entire stretches, I forget it exists. The beginner slope isn't much more than a gentle hill, but as I navigate down it without falling, triumph surges through me. The cold air stings my cheeks, and my laughter comes out as vapor clouds in the mountain air. My body remembers how to move without hesitation, how to lean into rather than fight it. "Not bad for day one," Kai calls from behind me. I spend my life making things easier for everyone else. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm finally learning to do the same for myself. The lodge's great room buzzes with a risky energy. A stone fireplace throws heat and light across comfortable seating clusters, where new friendships form. I sink into a leather armchair, warming my hands around a mug of spiked cider, listening to Sophia's story about swimming with dolphins in Hawaii last summer. I realized with the start that my phone hasn't vibrated in hours. I pull it from my jacket, 15 missed calls and 32 unread messages. But instead of the familiar spike of anxiety, I feel only a curious detachment. Whatever crisis they're navigating, they're doing it without me, and they're surviving, and so am I. As the conversation around me swells with laughter, I snap a photo of the breathtaking mountain sunset visible through the windows. I posted to Instagram with steady fingers. "Good morning to a new life." Have you ever had to step away from family obligations to discover who you really are? Share in the comments below if you've ever had to make the difficult choice between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. The fireplace crackles in the lodge's timber-framed lounge as I raise my mulled wine in a silent toast to myself. 3 days into my Aspen escape, and the knot that's lived between my shoulder blades for years has finally begun to loosen. My phone buzzes against the polished oak side table, then buzzes again and again. When it vibrates for the 6th time in under a minute, curiosity wins. I set down my drink and pick up the device. 17 notifications, all from Tara. Sauce, complete meltdown happening. "Call me now." I hesitate, fingers hovering over the screen. Part of me wants to silence it, to maintain this fragile peace I found, but another part, The part that spent 3 decades witnessing my family's chaos from the front row needs to know. I slip outside onto the deserted terrace where pristine snow reflects the resort's golden lights. Tara answers on the first ring, party noise exploding through the speaker. "Oh my God, Monroe, you're missing drama." Her voice carries a mix of horror and delight. "Mason's been flirting with Kelly Winters, his high school girlfriend, for the past hour, right in front of Brooke." "What?" The word forms a visible cloud in the mountain air. It started with reminiscing, then onto the arm, touching, and now they're huddled by the bar laughing like they're the only 2 people here. I press my fingers against my temple, and Brooke just threw her champagne in his face, the entire glass, then stormed out screaming that the engagement is off. Despite everything, my stomach tightens. Old habits surface my mind already calculating how to fix this, what words might smooth things over, how to salvage the party. Then I remember I wasn't important enough to be invited. That's not even the worst part, Tara continues. Mason punched the wall after she left. Pretty sure he broke something in his hand. Your dad losing Ethan Mason got into a shouting match in front of everyone. The bartender cut them both off, and the manager threatened to shut down the whole thing. I can picture it perfectly, Mason red-faced and belligerent. Dad making everything worse with his damage control, that only damages. Mom wringing her hands in the corner, pretending nothing is happening. Grandma May is the real MVP though, Tara adds, lowering her voice. She walked right up to Mason, looked him dead in the eye, and said, I'm quoting exactly, "This is what happens when you cut out the only responsible adult in your life." The entire room went silent. A strange sensation bubbles up from my chest, something between a laugh and a sob. For 32 years I've been the invisible support beam, the emergency contact, the 3 a.m. problem solver, the reliable one who's there for every crisis. Except this time, I'm not. I should go, I say finally. I signed up for a moonlight snowshoe hike. What? Monroe. Did you hear what I said? Your brother is imploding, and Brooke just left with her bridesmaids. Everyone's looking for you. They know where I am, I say simply, because I told them on Instagram 3 days ago. I end the call and silence my phone completely. 10 minutes later, I'm crunching through pristine powder with 6 strangers, and a guy named Ethan. The forest around us is silent except for our breathing and the soft compression of snow beneath our snowshoes. First time? Asked the woman beside me, Catherine from Toronto, I recall from introductions. At everything, I admit. First time snowshoeing, first time in Aspen, first time choosing myself over family drama. She laughs, a genuine sound that echoes among the pines. That last one's the hardest. The physical exertion burns my calves as we climb, my breath coming in visible puffs. Each step takes deliberate effort, lift, place, press. No room for family anxiety when you're focused on not falling face first into a snowbank. Halfway up, Ethan pauses our group at a clearing. The valley spreads below us, lights twinkling like fallen stars. Above, the moon hangs full and impossibly bright against the black canvas of night. Take a moment, he says quietly. Sometimes we get so focused on the climb that we forget to look around. Something inside me breaks open at his words. A small, unexpected laugh escapes me, perhaps, my first genuine one in years. Catherine smiles beside me, and 2 other hikers join in, our laughter rising like steam into the night sky. I am not responsible for fixing their mess. The thought arrives with such clarity that it stops my breath. All these years, I've been the damage control specialist, the emotional support beam. But maybe, just maybe, my absence is exactly what they need. 3 hours later, muscles pleasantly aching from the hike. I return to my room and turn my phone back on. The notifications cascade like an avalanche. 14 texts from Mason escalating from angry, "Where the hell are you?" to accusatory. "This wouldn't have happened if you were there," to desperate, "Please call. Everything's a disaster." 8 missed calls from Dad, followed by a text that makes my jaw clench. "We needed you. You abandoned your family when it mattered most." 3 tearful voicemails from Mom, each ending with her signature line, "Please don't make this a thing, honey." 1 message from Brooke, sent 30 minutes ago. "I need help. Mason's a mess. Can you talk some sense into him?" My thumb hovers over Mason's message. Muscle memory nearly taking over. For a heartbeat, I consider what I've always done: step in, smooth things over, absorb the blame, fix the unfixable. Instead, I open my contacts. I find Mason's name and press block contact. The screen asks if I'm sure. I've never been more certain of anything. I block Dad next, then Mom, then Brooke. Each tap feels down a heavy burden I've carried so long, I forgot it wasn't mine. I call the front desk. "Hello, this is room 342. I'd like to extend my stay by 4 more days, please." Afterward, I take a selfie by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow across my face. I've never looked more at peace. I post it with a caption that would have been unthinkable just days ago. 0 regrets. 100% peace. Then I silence my phone, place it on the nightstand, and for the first time in my adult life, I sleep without waiting for it to ring. I'm halfway down Silverado, a blue run that would have terrified me a week ago when my phone vibrates against my thigh. For a blissful moment, I consider ignoring it, like the 14 other calls I've let go to voicemail. But something that old familiar sense of responsibility makes me slow my descent and pull to the side of the trail. Grandma May's name lights up my screen. Unlike the others, she deserves an answer. Monroe. Her voice crackles with a mix of relief and they're losing their minds trying to reach you. I watch a father and daughter glide past, their laughter carrying on the crisp mountain air. I needed some space. Space? She snorts. Your brother has left 17 voicemails, started with, "How could you do this to me?" and has worked his way to "Please, I need you." Her voice softens. Your father even sent an apology text. Your mother made him, of course, but still, I close my eyes, feeling the sun warm my face. And Brooke. Her sister showed up at your apartment yesterday. Thought you might be hiding out. Grandma's laugh is sharp and knowing. Found nothing but your neighbor watering your plants. I asked Diane to check on them. I murmur, watching a snow bunny hop between pine trees. Where are you, honey? For the first time in days I smile. A real smile that reaches my eyes. Somewhere I should have gone years ago. Perfect form. Victor, my ski instructor, calls as I navigate the final turn. 3 days ago, he'd patiently helped me up after countless falls on the bunny slope. Today, I'm carving confident turns down a run aptly named Freedom. See you at the lodge for a brisky? He asks as we reach the bottom. Wouldn't miss it, I reply, surprising myself with how quickly I've fallen into this new routine. The lodge staff know me now. Emma at the front desk saves me the morning paper. Paolo remembers my coffee order, and Jeanette, the concierge, stops me with recommendations for dinner spots. Monroe. Jeanette waves as I enter the lobby. The Hendersons wondered if you'd join them tonight. They're doing a family dinner at their cabin, and thought you might enjoy a home-cooked meal. I pause, momentarily confused by the invitation. The Hendersons, a retired couple I chatted with during a snowshoe tour, have no obligation to me. They want nothing fixed, designed, or solved. They simply enjoyed my company. I'd love to, I answer, and the simplicity of the exchange nearly brings tears to my eyes. Later in my room I open the leather-bound journal I purchased in the gift shop. I flip past days of entries, watching my handwriting transform from shaky and uncertain to bold and flowing. Day 1. Arrived broken. Wondering if I've made a terrible mistake. Day 5. Skied my first blue run today, fell twice, got up twice. No one seemed disappointed in me. Day 7. I recognize my reflection again. I press my pen to a fresh page. Day 8. The woman who arrived is not the woman who will leave. Dr. Winters watches me from across her sunlit office in the resort's wellness center. You've made a deliberate choice to disengage, she says. It's not a question. I nod, turning my silenced phone over in my hands. 67 notifications. I haven't opened a single one. Tell me about your family, she suggests, the unfiltered version. And I do. The words pour out like spring run of 18 months of care packages during Mason's deployment. The money I transferred without hesitation, the invitations I designed without compensation, the birthdays I'd missed to meet their demands, the savings account I've depleted solving their emergencies. Going back to those patterns would be self-destruction, I conclude, surprised by my own certainty. Dr. Winters nods, and yet they're realizing what they've lost. Are they? I ask, not entirely convinced. People rarely change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing, she replies. Your absence has tipped that balance. A new message from Tara appears as I settle by the stone fireplace with a book. Grandma May's moved into your parents' guest room, says she's setting things straight. Dad nearly had an aneurysm. I smile, picturing my grandmother's take no prisoners approach. Another message follows quickly. Mason admitted to your dad that they've taken you for granted. Dad actually agreed. I nearly fell off my chair. Before I can respond, a video message arrives from Brooke. I hesitate, then play. Her face appears, eyes red and puffy. Monroe, she begins, voice breaking. I've been awful to you. Not just about the party for months, years really. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. No careful makeup, no rehearsed speech. I don't know why you'd forgive me, but I hope you'll let me try to make it right. I set my phone down, emotions swirling. As I reach for my wine glass, the front desk calls. Miss Taylor, there's a delivery for you. Downstairs the clerk hands me a cream-colored envelope addressed in Mason's unmistakable handwriting. I trace my finger over my name, written with unusual care. Inside, a single page begins. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need to try. I stand motionless in the grand lobby, snow falling softly beyond the windows, wondering how long the journey back to forgiveness should take, and whether immediate reconciliation would heal or harm us both. I fold my last sweater there. Cream cashmere I treated myself to at the Lodge Boutique and tuck it into my suitcase. 9 days ago, I threw clothes into the same bag with trembling hands and tear-blurred vision. Today, my movements are measured, deliberate. The woman who fled here barely resembles the one preparing to return. My phone buzzes. Dad again. Just checking what time we should pick you up tomorrow, his text reads. I type my response without hesitation. No need. I've arranged a rental car. 3 dots appear, disappear then. Seems unnecessary. We don't mind. I do, I reply. Then silence my notifications. Control begins with small decisions. The rental car, the neutral meeting location, the terms of re-engagement after what they're all calling your little breakdown, as if standing up for myself could only be explained by mental fragility. From my balcony, I take one last look at the mountains that witnessed my transformation. Tomorrow I'll meet my family at Meridian Coffee Shop, not our kitchen table, where I've swallowed criticisms with Sunday pancakes for 3 decades. Thank you, I whisper to the peak silhouetted against the twilight sky. I spot them through Meridian's window before entering, Dad checking his watch, Mom nervously stirring her tea, Mason with his arm around Brooke who's scrolling through her phone. Their tableau of impatience so familiar, it almost pulls me back into old patterns. I straighten my shoulders and push open the door. Monroe. Mom spots me first, half rising with that anxious smile. We saved you your favorite corner spot. I slide into the empty chair, setting down my leather portfolio with deliberate care. The weight of it grounds me. You look different, Mason says, squinting slightly. Skiing agrees with me, I answer, making eye contact with the barista instead of my brother. Well, Dad clears his throat, taking charge as expected. Let's just put this unfortunate business behind us. Your mother's been beside herself, and Mason and Brooke need help planning the rescheduled engagement party. Brooke nods eagerly. We're thinking the first weekend in April. I've already created a spreadsheet of tasks. I've highlighted yours in yellow. My mother reaches across the table, her fingers trembling slightly as they cover mine. Sweetheart, please. The family needs to stay together, especially with everything that's happened. I gently remove my hand from beneath hers and open my portfolio. Before we move forward, we need to address what happened. Monroe, Dad warns, dwelling on unpleasantness. I'm not dwelling, I interrupt, my voice quiet but firm. I'm establishing context. I withdraw a sheet of paper from my portfolio. On the February 16th, Mason called at 3 a.m. from Germany because his bank card was compromised. I transferred $2,000 from my emergency fund within 10 minutes. I looked directly at my brother. That loan remains unpaid. Mason shifts uncomfortably. I've been meaning to. Last September, I continue. I missed Diane's birthday dinner to finish your engagement announcement because Brooke wasn't feeling the professional design you'd already paid for. I place my phone on the table screen up, and here are the texts from Dad telling me to not make this a thing when I was excluded from a 120-person engagement party. Silence falls across our table, heavy and unfamiliar. My family stares at me as if I've suddenly started speaking a foreign language. I'm not here to accuse, I say, folding my hands on the table. I'm here to establish boundaries. Dad's face reddens. Now see here. No, Jack. Mom interjects with uncharacteristic firmness. Let her speak. I pull out another sheet of paper and place it beside the first. This is what I need from each of you moving forward. They lean forward almost in unison, eyes scanning the typed list. 1. Acknowledgement of my time, effort, and contributions. 2. Advance notice for family events. Minimum 2 weeks. 3. Repayment of outstanding loans within 6 months. 4. No more free design work, family discount of 25% only. 5. Respect for my no without guilt trips or manipulation. If these boundaries are crossed, I continue. I will limit contact until the behavior changes. I've learned that love without respect isn't sustainable. And if we refuse this ultimatum, Dad's voice wavers between anger and disbelief, then you'll be making a choice about what kind of relationship you want with me. I straighten the papers with steady hands, and I'll respect your choice by making my own. Mason wipes an unexpected tear. Monroe, I didn't realize. I know, I say, softening slightly. That's part of the problem. These seem reasonable, Mom offers tentatively, glancing at Dad. Brooke's perfectly shaved eyebrows arch high. So, you're not helping with the wedding planning after everything that's happened? I'll help within these parameters, I answer. But there's something else. I've accepted a 6-month design contract in Colorado. I start next month. You're leaving? Dad's fist hits the table, rattling our cups. Just like that, I'm pursuing an opportunity. I correct him. Just like you always encourage Mason to do. Dad opens his mouth, closes it, then slumps back in his chair. Mason leans forward, eyes rimmed red. I've been a terrible brother, haven't I? Before I can answer, the coffee shop door swings open, and Grandma May makes her entrance, impeccably timed as always. Well, look at you, she says, her eyes appraising me with approval. About time someone stood up for themselves in this family. She pulls up a chair from the neighboring table and wedges it between Dad and me. Now, she says, placing her weathered hands flat on the table, let's talk about how this family moves forward with a little more equity and a lot more respect. I catch my reflection in the window, shoulders back, chin level, eyes clear. The mountains gave me this gift. A woman who finally values herself enough to demand others do the same. Mountains frame my view as I adjust the blinds in my Colorado apartment. 6 months in this place, and the sight still steals my breath. The crisp February air seeps through an inch of open window of luxury. I never allowed myself back home where I paid the heating bills my parents claimed they couldn't afford. I run my fingers along the row of postcards pinned to my cork wall: Aspen, Boulder, Santa Fe, Denver, places I've visited since claiming my independence, each one a milestone marking distance from the girl who'd cancel plans at the first hint of family need. My phone lights up with Mom's weekly video call. I take a deep breath before answering, remembering my therapist's advice. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you control. Monroe? Mom's face fills the screen, her hair freshly colored for the church potluck. You look rested. I am. No explanation, no apology. That's new too. Your father asked about your project for that coffee company. She pauses, fumbling with her reading glasses. He saw their billboard off Highway 40. Said it had your signature style. 6 months ago, I'd have launched into an extended explanation, seeking validation. Today, I just smile. It was a good client. They've already commissioned 3 more designs. A notification slides across my screen, a text from Mason. Sample wedding invitations came today using your color scheme suggestion. Thanks, sis. No desperate plea for help. No last-minute crisis. Just acknowledgement. Progress. After we hang up, I open my laptop to an email from Tara with apartment listings in Denver. Consider me as a roommate, she's written. Colorado looks good on you. I sip my coffee and allow myself a moment of quiet pride. The family that once saw me only as a utility has begun the awkward, imperfect work of seeing me as a person. Grandma May's weekly letter sits unopened on my counter, her elegant cursive visible through the envelope. Her correspondence has been my anchor through this transition. Last week she wrote, "Your father actually asked me how to make your mother's birthday special without putting the burden on you. First time in 40 years that man's asked for advice." I tucked the letter into my journal for later, savoring the anticipation. Today is for focus. My design business has tripled since moving here. Clients who value my boundaries lining up for my services. The invitation sits on my coffee table, Mason and Brooks' revised wedding plans. A simple ceremony, 30 guests. My name on the envelope in Mason's handwriting. Not Brooks' mother's secretary's. I haven't decided yet. My therapist nodded thoughtfully when I showed it to her. Attending doesn't mean returning to old patterns, she reminded me. Hotels exist for a reason. Later, I'll meet with Jenna, a design student struggling with family expectations. She reminds me of myself, talented but hesitant to claim space. The scholarship I established at the local college connected us. You're helping me give myself permission, she told me last week. A familiar heaviness tries to settle on my shoulders as I remember next week's women's retreat, where I'm speaking about boundaries. The old Monroe would panic at being seen as an expert on something she'd only recently mastered. But that was before. Instead, I closed my eyes and practiced my evening gratitude ritual. Thankful for courage, for mountains, for the quiet satisfaction of a life that belongs to me. Through the window, the setting sun paints my walls, copper, the same metallic shade I was perfecting on Mason's original invitations the day everything changed. I rest my hand on the invitation. Tomorrow, I'll book a hotel room in my hometown, and please reply yes. Not because I'm needed, but because I choose to go. Sometimes the greatest act of love is learning to love yourself first.
Thank you for watching. Like, share and follow.